Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to ACS Sneakers. My name is Aiden. On today's video, we are taking a look at the Yeezy 700 V3 in the Azareth colourway. But before we get into that, I just want to say a huge thank you to my returning viewers. Thank you once again for continuing to rock with me on this channel. And for any new viewers, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, hitting that bell notification. I do release brand new content each and every week. At the time of recording, we are so close to achieving 600 subscribers, and the goal is to achieve 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I know with your help, we can definitely achieve this. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the intro. Initially releasing on August 29th for a retail price of £170, today we take a look at the Yeezy 700 V3 in the Azareth colourway. Azareth is actually a word derived from Hebrew and stands for those set apart, as far as I've been able to find on Google, but to be completely honest, there wasn't really a lot of information surrounding the word, and for me personally, I'm not that familiar with biblical scripture, but this does continue Kanye's biblical referencing throughout his Yeezy brand, as we saw most recently on the Yeezy Israel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box. And here we go guys, I now have the box in hand, and this is just that usual bog standard Yeezy cardboard box with the 700 branding stamped across the top. If we take a quick look at the label on the box, which reads Yeezy 700 V3 in the Azareth colourway in a UK size 9. Now I did actually find it quite interesting that on this portion of the box there is actually no reference to the fact that this is a V3. This is only seen on the actual label of the box itself. So let's go ahead and get into my review. And here we go guys, I now have the shoe in hand, and immediately my first thought is that this colourway definitely adds a much needed pop of colour contrast to the 700 lineup. Generally what we see from Yeezy is those really earthy tones and pretty much the same colour palette throughout. So this colourway is something definitely way left field in comparison to what we've seen previously, and I definitely am all for it. Don't get me wrong, I really do like those earth tones on some of the 350s like the Yeezy Zion and the Yeezy Israel, but I do also feel that sometimes you just need a shoe that has that huge pop of colour just to be able to have something different in the collection. So this is definitely something extremely exciting for me personally. So if we just start off from the toes up, here we have this singular U-shaped rubber panel that can also be seen on the prior 700 models. Now, this does actually differ from the previous models. As I've mentioned, this is rubber. Previously, I do believe that it was suede that was used to create this U-shape on the front of the shoe. Personally, I do prefer this in rubber, as I do generally find that the front of my shoe is going to collect the most dirt when I'm using and just general wear and tear, and I do feel that the rubber will be a lot easier to maintain than the suede material on those previous models. If we now go ahead and take a look at the upper of the shoe, you can see that we have this stretchy monofilament engineered mesh rather than that usual prime knit upper. Now for me personally, I do find that this material is super lightweight and breathable, but I still prefer prime knit personally, as for me, it does feel a lot more comfortable to wear long term and is a lot softer on feet. What I will say is that this definitely does have a very soft texture, but for me, I'm still going to prefer prime knit. I think it's just because I'm more used to prime knit. I think if this is used on more shoes that Yeezy do release, I think perhaps it might be something that we can look at down the road as to what is better. But for me, personally, as I say, I still do prefer the prime knit. Now, this has actually been done up in a blue and white stripe pattern throughout, with the olive accents towards the front and back. Now, this has actually been overlaid with a semi-transparent rubber cage, which has actually been created using TPU, which allows this cage to glow in the dark. Now, this is actually one of my favourite features on the entire shoe, and I do feel it is a super cool feature. Whether you are young or old, having a glow-in-the-dark shoe is pretty exciting. Now, this has an almost exoskeleton vibe to me personally, and this actually does give the shoe its shape. The main issue you do have with that is because you do have the cage on both the lateral and medial side, there isn't really much option for that customizable fit. Now, in regards to the glow-in-the-dark feature, I've also been led to believe that this can also be seen in some low light conditions. If you guys haven't already, please go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you never miss a video. Let's get back into it. Taking a look now at this white chunky midsole, which is extremely sleek and streamlined and is very similar to that of the Yeezy 380 silhouette. Now, the midsole on this shoe actually moves away from that usual Adidas Ultra Boost tech and opts for EVA foam instead. Personally, I've never actually owned a 380 model, so I'm not sure if the 380 does also feature EVA foam or goes along with that original Ultra Boost technology. But for me, this definitely feels a lot more stiff and rugged underhand and on feet. And for me, it's definitely not as comfortable as that Ultra Boost technology. I've always said that Ultra Boost is extremely comfortable to wear and perhaps is even one of the most comfortable shoes in my collection. This is definitely a much different feeling. It is still extremely comfortable to wear, but it's definitely not Ultra Boost, so it is something to be aware of before picking up this shoe. If we actually take a look towards the heel portion of the midsole, you can see that this actually sweeps up and features that Adidas branding on the heel. If we now take a quick look underfoot, you can see that we have that same EVA foam with hints of colour throughout. If we now move on to the tongue on the shoe, we have this completely black textile tongue with 3M accents towards the bottom. Now, for me personally, I'm not quite sure what purpose the actual 3M serves on the tongue of the shoe. For me, it is still a very nice touch, but it is barely visible, so you're not really going to be able to see this when on feet, unless you're actually looking down at your own shoes. Nobody else is really going to be able to see them when on feet. Now, I was extremely surprised to see how soft the tongue was on this shoe. I'm really impressed with the materials used. It is extremely soft underhand. Now, the tongue of the shoe is actually a part of the sock liner construction, and the actual sock liner of the shoe definitely has that Yeezy Quantum vibe. It is all a one piece and effectively is almost like a bootie when on feet. It is actually a little bit difficult to get this on feet for the very first time. You do have these cutouts at the top, which definitely add to the shoe's comfort, but it is a little bit difficult getting these on feet if you do have wider feet like me. It also can be a slight issue actually getting your feet out of the shoe when you do actually have this on because of the fact that it is that one-piece construction. Now, there is actually a surprising amount of padding and support around the ankle collar of the shoe, and it is extremely soft in hand. If we now take a quick look at the laces on the shoe, which are completely black, and I do believe they are known as infinity laces. The reason they are known as infinity laces is because there's no end. And if you ask me personally, I'm really not a fan of the new laces system that Yeezy has seemingly adopted. The reason being is there's not much option for that customizable fit. If you want to tighten the shoe, you have to pull the top strap here, and to loosen the shoe, there isn't really much option. Now, I do feel that if you do go with the right size for you, you won't actually need to change the laces on the shoe at all, and they'll be more for sure than anything else, as with the bootie construction, it does actually have quite a good fit when on feet. But that said, if you don't like the infinity laces like me, you do actually get an additional set of laces in the box itself. But please be aware, in order to change out the infinity laces with the laces in the box, you will need to completely destroy these laces by cutting them out. I'm not sure who thought of that. I'm not sure why they didn't just install a clip at the top to unclip them and then pull them out. So if down the road you want to revert back to the infinity laces, you can. So please make sure you are happy before changing the laces on the shoe, as once you destroy them, there's no way of going back. And the last thing I'd want to see people do is to leave comments in the comment section below telling me that they would have preferred the infinity laces down the road. So just make sure you are happy before changing the laces on this shoe. If we now take a quick look at the insole of the shoe, we have a completely black Orphalite insole with the Orphalite, Adidas and Yeezy branding. Now that pretty much wraps up the overview of the shoe itself, so now let's go ahead and get into my opinions on the shoe. And now switching over to the most important aspect of any sneaker, and that would be the sneaker's comfortability. Now, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, this does opt for EVA foam instead of Ultra Boost technology, so in my personal opinion, it's not going to be as comfortable as, say, the 350 model, which is, in my opinion, one of my most comfortable shoes in my collection. In terms of durability, the shoe has been constructed extremely well, and I do see this shoe being very durable. And now in terms of sizing, as I've covered, I did have some issues actually getting this shoe on my feet personally, so if you do have wide feet like me, I am going to recommend that you do go a full size up. If you have more narrow feet, you might get away with going true to size if you like quite a tight fit. However, if you want a little bit more of a looser fit, I would recommend going at least a half size up. Now, as always, if there's any opportunity for you to try out the shoe before buying, I would highly recommend that you do so. Although I do completely understand that this shoe isn't sitting around on shelves, so trying the shoe before buying is going to be extremely difficult. And in terms of my overall opinion on the shoe itself, I do give the Yeezy 700 V3 in the Azareth colourway a solid 8 out of 10. There are lots of things I like about the shoe, such as the colourway. I'm a huge fan of this bright, bold colourway on the shoe, and I'm really hoping that Yeezy starts to adopt this more bold and bright colour scheme moving forward, especially on the 350 model, which is my favourite model. I would like to see some more bright and colourful releases in the future. The things I really don't like include the infinity lacing system. I'm not sure what purpose it serves. I'm not sure who would prefer to have those kind of laces on the shoe. If you do, absolutely more power to you. But for me, I actually prefer laces that are customizable for me. I'm also not really a big fan of the sizing on the shoe. It's really deceptive in terms of how it looks. It looks like quite a wide shoe, but when you actually try and get it on feet, it's quite narrow. So that for me was a little bit of a negative personally. But I do think it is a very nice shoe, and I'd really like to know what you guys think as well. So please go ahead and drop me a comment in the comment section below, and let's go ahead and take a look at the shoe in more detail. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, hitting that bell notification, and I hope to see you again in the next one.